PKN 294.
With no inappropriate comment in the beginning this time.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Taylor. No more slurs.
No, we'll hold off on those until right after the call, as is tradition.
Try to slip one in at the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, you used to do that masterfully. Or no, that was at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah. Very risky business dropping an N-bomb in the last maybe second of the video or maybe second after the video.
High stakes, low reward.
That's how I
high
play.
Stakes, no reward.
That's how I play.
High stakes, no reward poker.
So you're talking about this
Israeli
guy's Jewish,
health
right?
minister.
He's the Israeli health minister who claimed the coronavirus was divine punishment for homosexuality.
Prove it wrong.
Tested positive for COVID-19.
Well, now we know a little more about him.
Well, as with any sort of disease, obviously, some people get caught in the crossfire. You know, I do a lot of ministry with the gays. I get on my knees for the gays, you could say. And, and sometimes these things, the Satan works in mysterious ways, as does God. You know,
do they believe in the devil? Do the Jews believe in the devil?
I think so.
Not a thing I know.
I don't. They don't. They believe in hell in like a different way.
Let me see. I
don't know what the fuck they think happens after you die.
Do all Christians believe in a fiery punishment, bad hell?
Yeah. No. A lot of them, Episcopalians, like the more like friendly, like, hey, you can be a pastor even if you're a gay woman. Whereas like a Baptist would be like, did you even read any of this? Like, that's not what it says. Like Episcopalians, people like, I think it's Episcopalians and some like forms of like lighter Protestants, they will say that like, oh, absence from God is hell. And so you would kind of just continue living in a godless world with all of the sin and debauchery and problems we have here, except even worse, like Sodom and Gomorrah style stuff is what we were taught that other Christians sometimes believed. Everywhere I went to school and went to church, it was fire and brimstone. There was no mealy mouth shitting around. It was like
their version of hell is some sort of orgy sex party.
I thought that too, because I remember being taught that and being like, wait, so like I can still say bad words and do drugs in these hells,
right?
And like that's it. Like that doesn't sound bad, but then like, you know, they really hammer in the fire and brimstone. And so just to be safe, I accepted God like all the time, just to be like my.
I think the Jews believe in the devil. Pretty sure. I just read something about.
Is it like the Christian devil or is it?
I didn't read very deeply into it. I just saw that he makes several appearances in the Talmud, so that would say to me that they believe in fire.
Yeah, I mean the Talmud is most of the Jewish scripts because like the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, that's really not that much shit. It's really not.
Yeah, that's just the start.
You blow through that in a day. It'd be
most of it's fucking genealogy, right?
There's a whole to read the Bible. It's terrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a real
There are whole pages where you just begat. Okay,
I'll try to read the Bible. I get like 3-4 pages have gone by. I've seen all of the words, and I always get to this like, wait, what did I just get from that? What did that just say? I'm lost.
Yeah. It's difficult reading, and because it's been translated like 8
no jokes
fucking times, not a single joke. What do you think about biblical movies though? Because I think.
Which one?
I think some of them are pretty fucking good. I thought that Noah movie was okay. But more specifically, I think like the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston. I think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I've only seen that once, and I was much younger.
Passion of the Christ. I thought that was a good movie.
Was that good?
That was good. That scared the bejesus out of me when I saw that.
So, okay, I haven't seen Passion of the Christ. It was my impression from hearing people talk about it that they liked it because they liked the message. They liked like how Jews were viewed as kind of negative, I think. But
yeah, accurate.
No,
not
it was
so much
more,
that it was a great movie. Or am I wrong?
It was. I mean, like everybody's perception of it. I didn't like if I were to watch it now, I wouldn't think that it's that great because I'm not religious. But I can definitely see as a religious person, like at least the adults in my life, and when they talked about it Sunday school or whatever, it was like. Their thing wasn't it? They didn't even mention Jews. They just said like, it's so powerful to watch all the suffering that Christ went through on your behalf. Like that's what was harped on and on about was all the suffering Jesus went through. And like when he's getting cat o' nine tail with those bones and he's like just trying to heave that fucking thing and make it up the hill. Yeah. They never mentioned a Jew thing at all.
Oh, they do. The affair. What are they?
No, I mean like at church. Well, yeah, but the Pharisees and the Sadducees they begged for Barabbas to come out so that Jesus would be killed. Like they did lobby for the Romans didn't give a shit.
And they're out there in the crowd, like cackling at Pontius, and he's late. There's literally the washing his hands of it, like literally and figuratively. It's where we get the.
Well, I mean, like even in the Bible, they're talking about how evil Jesus talked about how evil the Pharisees and Sadducees were all the time. He was like, you guys are just fucking manipulators who are using this book to get more money and making it so like you have divine access to it, to translate it. Oh, you've got this much money. I just read a new passage, and turns out you need to tithe a little bit more or something. And so that's when Jesus went into the temples and was slapping all the money lenders with whips and flipping the tables and being like, "You've turned the house of God into a place of usury, of usury and buying and selling goods and money and making loans and things." And he was like, "What the fuck are you doing? This is a place of worship, not a place of business." And so that's yeah.
What's that word you used a minute ago that they did with bones? Catanotized?
Cat of nine tails. Yeah.
It's a flog with 9 distinct whips. It's like 9 whips attached to one handle. Oh. And at the ends, it's different because there's like a lot of different variations, but there's usually something really awful at the end of each whip. Like it's either tied in a knot or maybe there's like some sort of metal in there, like a
little bit of bone wire. So that it'll slash into your back.
Just to be clear, Jesus didn't want this because I'm kind of down.
He did not want it. No, I mean, based on the
clearly
screaming,
not seen the film.
Mel Gibson just off to the side. More blood for my scene.
There was nothing sexy about that. I thought that one was pretty good. Mel Gibson makes a hell of a film. He's an amazing director. He really is. And I like that he resists the temptation to throw himself into his own movies. Like a lot of directors are like you're going to see Quentin Tarantino in every one of his movies. And I don't mind it. I've never seen Tarantino in his own movie and been like, come on. It's always like a little lighthearted bit there. It's like, all right, he's Jimmy now.
He doesn't pick the most flattering role for himself, Tarantino. He's often...
Yeah, not usually. It's usually some little throwaway character.
He picks the character that can say the N-word the most, which is pretty cool. You know? He can just be like, did you see a sign out front that said dead storage?
Nah, and Jimmy, I didn't see that.
He reiterated that like 3 times because he really wanted to.
So many times.
Everyone,
yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio said it, maybe 15, 20, 30,000 times.
Jesus.
I'm not really sure. They just it was so many N-bombs that you were just by the end of it, you were just like, you started working them into your own conversations. You're like, whoa, I watched Django.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I just watched Django. Please, no more, sir. Please, no more.
Shit hurts.
Django,
sorry, I blame it on the Django.
He's like, oh shit, I didn't know you just saw Django too. I'm sorry. Can I just have my Postmates?
If we ever get Arian Foster back on, I'm gonna use that excuse. Like, man, I had just seen Django.
Ooh. High stakes on that risk. Will he leave forever again? No.
He said he'd come back on. I don't think it's.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I like Arian.
Yeah. It was actually a fan of
name for a black fella.
It was a fan of mine went into his live stream and asked some questions and kind of represented me in a positive light and said, "Hey, you got to know Woody. He wasn't meaning to put anybody down, and in the context, that's like incredibly true." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm not mad at him. I'd come back on. Like, this is nothing." In my head, he just splashed the water, and I'm over here with a tidal wave. And he's like, "I didn't mean all that." It's like, "Yeah, but that's what happened." Sometimes it goes like that. I feel like I did that to More Plates, More Dates. I want to talk to him about that. During the PKA hangout, I made a tweet and I showed More Plates, More Dates. Just jacked, right? He's all dried out.
His deltoids look like melons attached to his shoulders.
He's the delt god, right? And he's
great.
And he's people don't have super low body fat, like competition ready all the time. But if you don't know any better, you think he's like that every day. Like if he's going to get groceries, that's what he looks like. And anyway, I posted his picture where he's just all jacked, lifting, dried out, the most extreme version of him. And I said, "Is this amazing or too much?" And then hundreds of people gave their opinion on him, lots of replies on it. And he did a video reacting to all the replies. Mm-hmm. And he is a perfect gentleman about it. And if it was super negative, he's like, if it was positive, it was like, thanks. And I did what I think I don't do and clearly fuck up sometimes, which is like, I mean, I put him in a position where hundreds of people gave his opinion on him, and that's not fair to him. I wish I could take it back.
I think it is fair because that's what he does, right? Like he puts himself up for judgment. He sets himself as the example, and then he judges people. That's his channel
on his own terms, right? Like I would take it back if I could. Yeah, but no, I see what like he's definitely not like what I'll call a civilian. You know, like if this was YouTube was some sort of mafia, he's not. Tom Hanks's daughter, I don't even know if he has one, you know, who hasn't put herself in the public eye and doesn't deserve to be thrust into it.
Yeah, I hear you, I guess, to some extent. But like, I mean, what he has achieved is probably too much. And I'll tell him that when he's on the show. It's like, you know, do you ever feel like you've gone too far? Do you fear that maybe you've got some sort of, what's that thing?
Body dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia. Do you ever fear that maybe you've crossed over to that edge because you're incredibly fit? And I would wager that you were incredibly fit and what most people would define as ideally fit 5 years ago. Like, but you keep going up. Are you ever afraid that you're doing damage to your heart? Or I'd like to ask him that stuff because
what's funny is
I can't wait to high road somebody who is a million times healthier than me.
I think he might be
like, "Are you sure?" Like,
no, I think he might be a million times healthier than any of us. But the thing is, like, he might not be because there's an edge where like you get into that Brett the Hitman Hart range or whatever. Who's the guy who went crazy and killed his family? It's not Hitman.
Oh, Chris Benoit.
It would be much funnier if the guy who killed his family was the Hitman. Like, I wish he had a more like hard like Brett the Hanger Danielson and he had hung his family. Or how did Chris Benoit kill his family?
I think he either stabbed or strangled them all to death, and then he hanged himself on a exercise machine.
That's fitting.
Yeah. So
was it CTE or was it roid rage?
I think it was probably a combination of the two. I think post-mortem, they definitely did some scooping around in that ruined melon and found out that, you know, he much more fucked up than you would think. Jesus. Or I guess I don't. You guys have both seen way more professional wrestling than I have. Those guys take falls that make like an actual professional football, hockey, rugby player be like, oh, ooh, ah, oh, is he okay?
Well, I mean, they're in their underwear, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's no pads at all, and like I get that it's silly and everything. I liked it when I was 5. That's when I was a big wrestling fan. I was 5 years old. So at 5 years old, I also liked the Ninja Turtles and He-Man. You know, so you turn this shit on and it's these Hulk Hogan's on there crushing people's skulls. It's just as real as any of that other stuff. But like as an adult, I get that I don't get it. I don't get how people still watch that stuff.
It's like a soap opera for them, right?
I like speeches in general. I used to watch Steve Jobs, partly to learn about the new product, but partly just to see this amazing reality distortion field that he can create. He's not famous, but the CEO of Cisco at the time could also like somehow connect on an emotional level with 200, 400, 5,000 people at the same time. And it was neat. I remember him talking about layoffs and just the first time I heard his spiel and heard him almost like break up, like dodge tears talking about layoffs. I was like, wow. And then I saw the same performance on CNBC, and then I saw the same performance somewhere else and the same performance somewhere else. And it's like, this is like a bit he's doing. This is bullshit, you know, like he hits the same beats again and again. He's been crafting this performance. It's not true. You know, but it seemed like he just recollected a time he laid off people at a previous company and how hard it was. And then anyway, I like watching these performances. And back to professional wrestling, when I see like The Rock deliver something or CM Punk or the guy who had cancer recently, you know, like everyone was hating him and then he got up and talked about how he was taking a break to fight. I think it was cancer. Yeah. I just like watching people work a crowd. It's an impressive skill.
I like that too. Like I would never watch the actual act of the wrestling, but sometimes I will go on YouTube and like watch the best of like their like mic performances.
Yeah.
Like Ric Flair was so good and so fun and funny to watch. Like I always talk about it, but that 30 for 30 on ESPN about Ric Flair is amazing. It's called like 30 for 30, the Nature Boy. And it's just like when you see him out there wearing that sequin robe with that bleach blonde hair, and he's got that fucking speech, and he's just like Cadillac riding, Cadillac driving, limousine riding, private jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. And then he does a little dance, and that's just like 2 lines of his speech. It has 8 lines. There's something about diamond rings and hot women, and he'll Rolex watch, and he'll show him. All these things are real. Like he'll show you his big diamond ring and his big Rolex, and then there'll be 2 or 3 hot bitches with him. And you watch that 30 for 30, and he's just like, they're like, how many women do you think you've had in your life? And I don't remember the number, but it's something like, I don't know, man, 18,000, something like that. It's like some absurd number that you'd have to just be banging 2 or 3 a night every night for decades. For decades.
And wasn't he the one who was like, he's like, and so you were just drunk all the time? And he's like, yeah. Is he the same one?
He sat down with either a doctor or a psychiatrist. I guess both are technically doctors, a medical doctor or a psychiatrist, and they were like, all right, and how many drinks would you say you have in a given day? So, I don't know, 8, 12, something like that. Look, let me understand this. You have 8 to 12 drinks every day, or like on the weekends? Oh no, every day, every single day of my life. That's impossible because he's just ripped as fuck, in incredible shape. He's just bursting at the seams with musculature, and he looks healthy, but there's no way he is. He's still alive. I mean, shit, I guess he's stood the test of time.
For now.
Joe Rogan talks about how it's common for people to become their characters and start believing their own hype, right? It can happen in the UFC, which sometimes he references, but Ric Flair is like a prime example where suddenly, like, he is this Cadillac driving, limousine riding, private jet flying, Rolex wearing.
You're 90% of the way there. You're 90% of the way there, because what they explain in the documentary, these other wrestlers and his family members, they're like, I don't know, maybe they even had Hulk Hogan, and he's just like, we've all got characters that we do, you know. I'm Hollywood Hulk Hogan, or I'm this, or I'm that, but I go home, I'm Terry Hogan, right? I got a wife, I got kids, I got neighbors, I go to PTA.
Yeah, I go to the PTA.
Ric Flair is the nature boy. He's not putting on a show for you folks. He's just showing up and being himself. He is the nature boy. And it's just like, holy shit, he is the nature boy. And the more you hear about his life.
He couldn't have always been the nature boy. I have to imagine that the nature boy is what happens when you give Ric Flair a lot of money. I guess. Right?
Maybe.
I don't know. Have you ever seen the 30 for 30? It's pretty fucking good.
I need to. I'm sure you've mentioned
like you don't need to be a fan of wrestling to be blown away by like his training regimen and like how his coach was like he quit the wrestling training because it was too extreme. And you might think that it's all that like fake, like I'll throw you at the rope and you bounce back and I'll duck under your arm stuff. But their coach had them like running stairs in like this really tall building. And then I want to say they had to walk down the stairs like on their hands or something. Like it was something extreme.
Hands and feet? You mean like bear crawl?
I think okay. Something like that.
I'm
it was
like,
something
really
ridiculous.
Good at handstands. God.
Yeah, and he like quit, and the coach came and found him and like smacked him around, like beat the shit out of him. He's like, "You're coming back, LaFleur." Like I think that's his real name, LaFleur, not Flair. And Flair sounds a lot cooler.
Than Fleur. Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. I found that thing fascinating, and like again, not a big wrestling fan. I like seeing him on the mic because I like to see a good performance. I like seeing somebody who can talk shit. It's just like rap in a way. Like these guys are like singing their own praises to make $1, and that's kind of cool to me. I like it. But that ESPN special, The Nature Boy, I think I purchased it before I was subscribed to ESPN. I love that shit. It's really good.
Yeah. Never watched it.
I watched a thing recently with The Rock and Hulk Hogan. Did you guys see that? The video went semi-viral on YouTube.
No.
So it turns out The Rock fought, for lack of a better term, Hulk Hogan. And I didn't even know that. And The Rock told the story for like 15 minutes from his perspective. And then Hulk Hogan told the story from his perspective. And it was neat to hear the two of them talk about it. The Rock was supposed to be the babyface, which means good guy. And in mid thing, he changed into the bad guy, and it wasn't planned. But Hulk saw it happen. Hulk saw it happening, and they put on a pretty good performance that everyone loved, and it was two sort of legends from different eras going against it, and Hulk Hogan, the way that Rock told the story was, it became time, and Hulk Hogan said, like, take it home, which I guess is code for now is your time to win this. And Hulk Hogan was like, yeah, 2 weeks earlier, I hit the turnbuckle. I didn't protect myself. I had a broken rib, and I had to stop. I couldn't go any longer. And
another good ESPN about wrestling is the Andre the Giant one, because and they do the same thing that you just described with Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. And Andre was like, or Hulk was like, they fought each other at like a WrestleMania, and Hulk Hogan was like, I didn't know if he was going to let me win or not. I didn't know, because the thing is, when you wrestle Andre, if he wants to win, he wins. The man's almost 600 pounds. He's a foot taller than I am, and I'm 6'9". He's a giant. And I'm 6'9". He towers over me, and
he's twice as wide.
And he's not a beanpole either. Yeah, exactly.
No, he won't fit through a
he's
door.
He's a foot taller, but 30% more man.
I was watching a documentary on him, just called Andre on HBO.
That's probably what I saw, actually.
Yeah, it got really late, and so I probably stopped with like 20 minutes left in it. But like when you'd hear Andre talk, there were times where someone off camera would be like, Andre, can I get you a beer? And like the way just wanted to be like, I need a beer, I told my solo. And it would be like
he turns into Jabba the Hutt.
And it's like his voice was so deep. It's like, there are whales in the ocean getting wet right now because they feel the vibrations in the ground. Like, but you're gonna have to speak in a human range here. Like, I don't know what you're saying.
He was so big. Yeah, that documentary was really cool. Like learning about his whole life and the struggles that he went through. It's sad. It's sad at a lot of points. Such a gigantic man. I want to say it was Jake the Snake that Andre hated, because
that sounds right. I only watched this like a month ago. Yeah.
Because like Andre, like Jake would oil up. I think I want to say it was Jake. He would, a lot of them would oil up to be shiny, and Andre would be like, "No oil,
yes,
no oil," and he'd come in with the snake or whatever, and he's just like, "No snake,
yeah, no snake, no oil."
No, it was. I think it was Macho Man. I want to say he was like, "Yo,
Macho Man,
Andre, maybe tonight you can let the Macho Man win one." No oil.
The Macho Man got bit by one of Jake the Snake's snakes, if I recall. Really? Yeah, and he's like, they're supposed to be defanged. I know he brought the fang snakes at me and let me get bit. And
as if Jake the Snake has a tub of fang snakes and fang snakes.
That's literally how he would keep them when he traveled around to wrestle. He would have the snake in the tub of his hotel room. They would be in the tub.
They can't get out, huh?
They can't get out of it. Well, I don't know. Maybe he closed the door, I'm sure, as well. He would talk about those fucking snakes, bringing the snake out and making it bite the people. And they really would. He would have the snake bite people. There'd be blood pouring off their shoulder because, they've got 2-inch fangs or something. They're not venomous because they're constrictors. But it's still a fucking snake.
They're still angry about being in the middle of a
WWE. They still hate where they are right now.
Yeah.
If he was Jake the Squirrel and had squirrels bite me, it'd be like the fucking awful experience.
Yeah, he really made a mistake by being Jake the Snake. He should. that was a real error. His Rogan interview is great.
Did you guys see the news story about the Secretary of the Navy? Do I have his title right? Yeah, the acting secretary, acting Navy secretary. No, are you guys on top of this at all?
I don't have a clue what you're talking about.
I will do my best to lay it out. Unless Kyle, did you want to?
So the broad strokes that I know are that Captain Crozier guy, who was the captain of the aircraft carrier, wrote a bunch of letters and sent them out to the media about how they're not taking care of the coronavirus on his ship, and then he got subsequently fired, and then the Secretary of the Navy guy or whatever said that Captain Crozier was either too stupid or too naive to be holding that post anyway, or something like that. And now today, I guess he himself has retired.
Right. The only thing I'd change about that is he didn't send the letters to the press. They were leaked to the press, and he was too stupid or too naive to not see that coming. Based on what's in front of me right here, taskandpurpose.com.
Yeah.
You're only as good as your sources.
Yeah, like I don't know anything about that shit, but what I think of immediately, what my mind goes to, is House of Cards. The way that things would get leaked,
Mm-hmm.
how you'd be like, how you'd like call your favorite reporter and be like, "Yeah, I've got this thing. Here it is. Here it is. Yeah, do what you want. Yeah, yeah, you go first. You go first, and then send it to A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, NBC."
Could be, right?
Could be.
There's no way to know.
Maybe.
But so yeah, his ship had coronavirus, and he wanted to sort of emergency dock and get the people off because there's no way to practice social distancing on an aircraft carrier.
That makes sense.
So I don't know what makes sense, and I'll tell the other side of it. Their Navy secretary is like, "Hey, you've got a job to do. You don't have to like your commanding officer." And all the people loved him for it. The sailors felt like he was taking care of them.
Mm-hmm.
The Navy secretary felt like he was abandoning America. He's like, you don't have to like your guy, you just have to do your job. And your job is this. If we were at a time of war, then this would be the wrong move. We can't tell the world that this aircraft carrier has stricken with coronavirus and is not effective anymore. I'm paraphrasing some of this.
That also makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how many people were on board that boat? Because that's important.
How many? Probably thousands, right?
It's over 4,000, I know.
Because those boats are just retarded.
They're cities.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a floating town.
I'm looking for the quote, but it's something like, if this ship was in combat and there were hypersonic missiles coming at you, you'd be scared, but you have to do your jobs, and that's what I expect of you. That's what I expect of every officer on this ship to do, is to do your jobs. And he's basically saying, like, hey, just because there's coronavirus running rampant on your ship, that doesn't mean that you stop doing your job, that everyone just abandons it and sequesters themselves. Am I using that word right?
Yeah.
Anyway, isolates themselves. Quarantines would be a better fit. Anyway, so I'm not a military guy. And I'm like, who's right here? I can't tell. I do know that the acting naval secretary who gave him such a hard time, called him stupid or naive, he resigned, right? Let's all assume he got fired. Yeah. But the other guy lost his ship. It feels like everyone's going to lose.
Well, we'll see. Did you see Trump speaking on this?
No.
Oh, I thought it was great. It was one of those moments where you're like, well, Trump's a pretty good guy sometimes. He's like, I don't see why this should ruin this guy's whole career. I looked at his record just a little while ago. I looked at his folder. He's an amazing guy. He flew choppers, and then he flew fighter planes, and then he worked his way up to being the captain of a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. I'm going to see if I can step in and do something about this. Like, look, what he did was wrong. Sending 28 copies of the letter or whatever it is, that's wrong. But should it ruin his career? I don't know about that. I was like, yeah.
There's two ways to
all these sides are making sense to me right now.
It turns out this Captain Crozier guy had coronavirus. Like, as soon as I get him off the boat, yeah, you have it too.
I have IT related stories, right? So I am the CIO of a company I worked for, QAD, a long time ago, was telling us about his job interview. And something went wrong before he got hired there, and there were no backups. And they said, what would you do with this guy? He's like, I think I'd have to fire that guy. Like, he can't do that. And they said, all right, feels good because that's what we did, and you're hired. Okay, that's one side of it. I've also seen like some guy cause problems and create $625,000 worth of like damage in IT. And it's like, is he going to get fired? And they're like, no, we just spent $625,000 training him. He won't be doing that again. Oh, I don't know what's right in this situation.
I think particularly in the military, like it's a double-edged sword, because on one hand, especially somebody like that, like I guarantee millions of dollars have gone into the training of that captain.
Oh yeah.
Many millions. Like just a regular soldier out there is worth $1 million or $2 million in training and material lab that have pumped into this guy. He's the captain of a fucking floating nuclear city with all sorts of armament. That thing is gargantuan. I'd like to see one in real life.
That would be tight. Take a tour.
Oh, that'd be incredible. Like I had an opportunity, I think, once to tour a nuclear submarine, and I was like, I don't care. And I'm just like, oh, why don't you go? Why don't you go?
Oh, that would have been awesome.
But I would really love to see one of these aircraft carriers. Like I would love that, because apparently, I mean, I'm looking at the specifications a minute ago. It says 6,000 men is like, it's like fully geared out, like complement of people. But the number I heard on CNN and Fox was like in the 4,000s.
Yeah, maybe that's like the wartime total. That like
who knows, right?
6K in there.
But yeah, what a cool piece of fucking machinery. Trump said that it has replacement cost of $18 billion.
Well, that's expensive.
That's an expensive fucking boat. And I think we've got 6 or 7.
Yeah, like how much? Don't we have as many aircraft carriers as
the rest of the world
combined?
Yeah, I think it's more than the rest of the world combined.
Also,
it turns out
like much higher quality.
Yeah. Like your aircraft carriers for helicopters, should that even count?
Like you'll look at the end of theirs and it's this like loop-de-loop like BMX ramp at the end because theirs is so short that they had to put a ramp on it just so the planes could take off.
You go to Thailand and they're all launching paramotors. It's like, no, you don't count.
Bamboo! This is the Swiss Family Robinson aircraft carrier. You savage.
It's not even close. That's a kite on a raft. No. This is the.
You talked about touring a ship. When I was a swimmer in college, there was this girl. She was hot. I kind of had a crush on her. Right? Not super hard. She was one of several girls I crushed on at the same time. And apparently, she went on a tour for the USS Intrepid. And I never fucked her. Anyway,
you were just crushing on her.
Wait, I used the term right, didn't I?
You did, but it
no, you did, but we're twisting it.
Okay,
we're manipulating.
How dare you?
Twisting it for our own greedy.
How dare you take my words and get them off and paraphrase, Kyle? What kind of asshole would do that?
You're twisting.
So, anyway, she went to the USS Intrepid with her ex-boyfriend at this point and fucked him. Like they did a tour and they just sort of left the tour, found a hidden room and had sex on the USS Intrepid.
That's cool.
It's so cool. I'm like, that was probably fun, right? And I'm not busy.
You ever fucked in public, Taylor, in a place like that? Like anything?
In a couple of airport parking garages. Yeah, like in cars.
Let me figure out. There's this place called like Chateau Elan or something like that. Let me get the name right.
I fucked at the O'Hare Airport parking garage and the Lambert Airport parking garage. Yeah.
That's
probably about as public.
High class public place. I mean, we did it in a dumpster once.
Yeah, in the dumpster, you climbed in.
Ew, that'd be so gross.
So I was at this place.
On your face.
So I was at this place for dinner. It's
Chateau Elan.
It's the Chateau Elan. It's voted Atlanta's best getaway destination. And we had dinner downstairs in like the dining room, and then we just start touring the building on our own, like with no accompaniment. And we found this big dining hall. Like something out of a movie. Like we opened these big heavy wooden doors, and there's a huge dining hall, like with nice round tables that would seat 8 to 10 people, with nice tablecloths on them and silverware already on them. But the room's dark, nobody's in there. So I put her up on the table and banged her right there. And I was very nervous that we were going to get caught because I felt like it might have been a crime to bang her in there. I was like, this is great and all, but I don't want to go to jail.
I've had a few. Of course, I told the story of the what's the really hot room with wooden sides? What is that called?
Sauna, right?
Sauna. Yeah.
What did you do in a sauna? Because usually that's not a straight man thing.
It was Jackie.
You fucked a woman in there, which makes it a straight man thing. Ish.
This hotel gave access to like the showers and the sauna and the bathrooms and stuff to the lifeguards who worked in front of it, and. As such, I went back there under the guise of needing to go to the bathroom and had a quick romp with my now wife. More fun back when I was an accountant at my father's firm. We were the only people there. Right on the fucking meeting table. It was like, so I didn't like that job. And
what's that? The Johnson file? Yeah, use that.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, like, fuck this place, man. A little pushback my way of.
Does your father know this?
No, he does not.
He is not a patron, so he will never know.
But yeah, they had 2 meeting rooms, and we just I was the only guy working there at that moment, and You're the only guy in the office, I'm trying to say.
He's like, was that 1992? Like, yeah, Dad, it was. We all got pink eye. What did you
That's funny. Those are the only two that come off the top of my head. And of course,
not the bowl of
we thought
raisins
someone
on the
went
desk.
in there and sprayed a bunch of suntan lotion all over the place as a goof. Not
I thought it was extra table polish. We just rubbed it in.
Yes.
One time I shared a bed
So
with Jackie on. It was like an overnight swim meet or something like that. And we had the bed to ourselves, but we didn't have the whole room to ourselves. And we just like, I don't know what we like. Everyone had to know, right? But yeah, just as subtly.
Were you doing
as
like
possible.
a laying on the side,
like a spoon?
fuck,
Yeah,
where
the
it's like,
spoon under the covers, quiet, subtle.
this is gonna be the least movement, fuck. And I swear, if you moan, it's over.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna steep my cock in there like a tea bag.
I'm just gonna soak it like Mormons do. Yeah, that's called it's called soaking, where they just stick their cock in, and then if you don't move, God is like a velociraptor. His eyesight's based on movement. If you just sit in there, get away with it. As it comes up to you, sprays that thing out, and then it spits right in Newman's dumb face. That part of Jurassic Park scared the poop out of me as a little kid. Like when he got out of that truck and it's all raining.
You were really little too.
Yeah, I was young. I
think that shit came out in '93, so that made me like 9. And even at 9 years old, I remember being 9 and watching a news report about the movie. And this lady's like coming out with her kids, and she's like shielding their eyes, even though they're just in front of kids. She's like, "There was a man's arm cut off," and I'm just, as a 9-year-old, I was like, Can we go, Mom? Can we go? There's dinosaurs and arms getting ripped off. We gotta go. And we did. And I love that shit. It was great.
Yeah.
That was so cool for a 9-year-old to see Jurassic Park in 1993 when you'd never seen anything on that level of special effects before as far as dinosaurs went. So cool.
Yeah. I probably saw it when I was 5 or so the first time, and it was like I was obsessed with dinosaurs, artistically into dinosaurs at the time. That's all I cared about.
Everybody got into dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, dinosaurs were so cool as a kid, and I'm watching that. But I still remember that the scenes I liked with Newman was the one where he's hiding the dino DNA in the Barbasol can, and and like as like a 5-year-old, I'm like, oh, the peak of cleverness to hide it in that. And then
I didn't know what Barbasol was though, so I was so confused. I was like, is that whipped cream? Why does it come out like that?
When I saw that,
I only knew because like a little bit of cream did come out. I assumed it was shaving cream because I bet I'd seen it in my dad's bathroom or something.
I saw Jurassic Park. Loved it, right? And then I remember I went to Georgia not long afterwards. I did this thing called Bike Ride Across Georgia with my father, where you go from the northwest to the southeast, right? All right. And we're listening to the radio on the cars. We're headed down there. And this guy in this southern accent was like, "Did dinosaurs eat people? Well, hard to be the one that tells you, kids, but yeah. Dinosaurs do what dinosaurs do." And I'm like enraging. Like they were separated by millions of years. Like they didn't. Dinosaurs no dinosaur ever ate a person unless you count like alligators. You know? And
that's a loophole. We don't count that.
So in my head, I was like, all right, note to self. People from Georgia are dumb.
Yep. Yep. It's religious people. It's although your dad was just like, finally, someone who knows what's up.
I didn't look at it through that lens. That makes sense. Maybe he was compressing this whole Earth history into 6,000 years or something.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's those young Earth people who believe we coexisted with the dinos and they were part of the Noah's Ark scenario and all that. Yeah, that's what it is.
Like if you put a bunch of dinos,
I just thought he was dumb. Well, I wasn't wrong. Yeah,
he is. You know, it's there's a fine line between faithful and dumb. Really not a line at all, I suppose.
It's more of a spectrum.
So part of me agrees with that. There's another part of me that has found some of the smartest people are religious.
For sure.
There's a guy in comp sci, I think his name's Richard Stallman, but I might be mixing them up. Whoever invented Pearl. Bottom line, his father was like a priest. His grandfather was a priest. It just goes on. And it's almost like these people were bred for intelligence. And then he invented computer programming languages, changed the internet. Yeah, so like you said, maybe the leaders are mega smart and the followers are not. Maybe that's a general breakdown.
I don't know. Yeah, it's Larry Wall.
Larry Wall. That sounds right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that I grew up without someone trying to make me believe that like my dad was always the voice of reason when my mom would start like laying some of that thick religious nonsense on me. Like she's like, yeah, the Armageddon's coming any day now. And dad's like, don't tell him that. Tell him that. What, he's not supposed to live a life? He's supposed to live like, what are you thinking? It was just like
was your dad ever religious, or it was more of an appeasement to your mom for the most part?
He would not go to church with us. She would drag us there, every Sunday. And the times that I saw him there, like maybe 2 times ever. If I had to guess, I would say the loss of his younger brother to cancer probably like really made him upset with any idea of religion. Because I remember they went to one of those fucking miracle working preachers, and he got to see firsthand. They're like, who believes in the Lord? Who believes in the Lord? Hold up $100 bill. And he's just like, everybody holds up $100 bill, and they go around and start collecting them. And you thinking like, your family member's dying. I don't want to be the one not holding up a damn $100 bill. So you pull one out too. And I'm pretty sure that like that sort of experience really made him not believe, especially in organized religion.
The worst thing that ever happened to my faith was a similar experience. So ours, I've told it before, but we wanted Hope to go to a Catholic school, right? We thought it was better than the local public schools, and that's what we were going for. So she went to a Catholic kindergarten that anyone could go with. And this year in kindergarten was like a trial almost, and they evaluate the families based on the time, talent, and treasure, that's their thing, that you were able to contribute towards their church. And time was about how often you attended the Sunday services, so we never missed. Talents were basically about like your contributions to the baked goods thing. Jackie made jewelry and sold it and gave it the proceeds to the church. And then treasure's pretty obvious, right? It was about your donations. And they said it was.
Can you write a check for the Lord?
They said it wasn't about the size of the donations, just the frequency. Do you give every Sunday? Do you give this? Do you give that? And I'm like giving checks, like, am I getting credit for this one? I'm not sure. It's just going in a basket with all the others. Are we sure the accounting is good in this system?
I can help with that.
I'm putting a bright sticker on mine.
yeah. There was some cash in this bag. How do you even know who's whose? Trying to get this kid into first grade. And
you know what? I'm going to write $100. I'm going to misspell the whole thing, and they're going to have to call me back.
Yeah. And then I didn't like some of the. First, you go and you give money every Sunday, and then they start putting their hooks into you. They're like, we really need your bank account and routing number and permission to automatically withdraw from your accounts. And I was like, what? Like, I don't sign up for subscription services.
My accountant doesn't have that.
Yeah.
And he's my father.
My wife doesn't have access to that. We have a different account that I give her an allowance.
It's not incredibly difficult to convince me to spend like $1,000 or $2,000. It is, for some reason, incredibly difficult to get me to sign up for $19.95 forever. That stuff it never goes away. You forget about it, etc.
That's why I like to change my cards on a regular basis. You start getting emails like, hey, payment declined. And I'm just like, good Discord Nitro. Like, I'm done with you. Like, you don't get my money
I got a new Hulu now, and I don't want that old Hulu.
Yeah. 2 years ago, I canceled my subscription to Pirate 4x4, an off-roading site I have been paying $20 a year to since like 2004. And I'm like, wow, 16 years of this. Just one payment a year just got by me, and that I've been paying all this time by accident.
Yeah.
A few $100 to that website.
Yes. Yeah. And
it depends what it is.
They're just sitting there at the server room like, when this guy finds out, the jig's up.
I have a feeling there were hundreds of people.
I will never financially recover from this if when he realizes that we are debiting him every year.
That is my favorite meme from that show at this point. That I'll never financially recover from this.
I wonder how
she's like, I will never digitally recover from this. I've lost an arm.
You like that? Nothing. Easy to fuck my girlfriends with now.
The guy with the hat. I watched him be interviewed later.
Guaranteed.
He that footage that got destroyed, they didn't quite describe what was on it in the Tiger King, I thought. He was murdering tigers and feeding them to other tigers. If the tigers got old enough that they weren't good for sales anymore, you don't need that many adult tigers. People want to buy the baby ones. So he just kill them, feed them. They were so many. Like Carol Baskin had 10 tigers, and the film sort of portrayed her as a fraud for not having the number of tigers that you'd expect one of the Florida's tiger queen to have. Cool. He had 180 tigers in 16 acres. Yeah, I have 14 acres. I don't know if I said this on the show yet. Hope says we're short 160 tigers. But like that is so many tigers packed full. Those tigers were in cages stuck, and it didn't get the kind of attention that it seemed. Whenever we saw tigers, they were in big enclosures, like things that you'd think would make them kind of happy. But
well, even that guy who was filming it was like, at the very end, talking about, I had to keep it secret the whole time, but one of the most pressing things is watching. I think he even said, like, as it went on, like watching the animals become borderline totally unimportant, like just little props in his grand play that he was directing.
Again, I reiterate, I just don't care about tigers. They're monsters.
They've never done anything for me, so yeah.
I definitely feel for those chimpanzees and honestly all of the little hominid fellas he had, all those little capuchin monkeys running around. I don't care about those crocodiles, not even a little bit. Those things.
No, I would have killed them
as soon
on
as
my
they
own.
look at you. Like those tigers, like I just don't give a shit about them. I don't care about the lions. But like when I saw the camel, all right, he probably has feelings, but the tiger, no, he don't care. He don't care about you.
Tiger would eat you. Yeah.
I mean, clearly.
Carol Baskin sent someone to put perfume on my boots, and that's how that happened. Yeah.
No, if I were to do that, it would be sardine oil, which I definitely did not put on his boots.
Yeah. Yeah.
New episode of that this week,
No.
Wait, what?
New episode of Tiger King coming out this week.
That's so smart.
You're trolling. Well, color me shocked.
There's no way excited to check. I'm not gonna. I'll just wait for it to come out.
No, it's coming up. Jeff Lowe was talking about it in an interview recently.
On Netflix?
Well, the interview wasn't on Netflix.
It'll be on Netflix. Yeah. The episode
I'll
be able to find it. Yeah.
I wonder if stuff's going to come out that totally proves the entire Free the Tiger King meme, like proves it wrong.
I don't know. I'm guessing it's probably just like filler and extra tidbits that didn't quite make the original cut. But they're seeing that. I mean, the show's still number one. It's still number one on Netflix.
Yeah. Ozark up there at number 2. I'm 7 episodes into this season. Very, very good. Very good so far.
I haven't heard. I've heard all good things about it. I haven't started watching it yet. I've been rewatching fucking Star Trek.
It is a lot more brutal and violent than the last 2 seasons. Much more so.
Do I need to see season 2? I don't think
definitely. Season 2 has a lot of intrigue. And season 2 is excellent too. Every season of the show has been great so far.
Here's my plan. I watched season 1 already, so I think I'll just read like a Wikipedia summary. Oftentimes I can find that. Get back up to speed. Start at season 2.
Yeah, that's what you should do. And I mean, like, we're all quarantined, so an extra season of juicy content, 40 to 1 hour episode, length.
You might underestimate how time consuming Tarkov can be. I have a lot of work to do.
It's fun. Like I'll do a stream, and like I'm not really doing video gaming as much, but like 2 to 4 hours is usually about how long my streams are. Like this one I did this afternoon was only like an hour and 50 minutes or something, because we had to hop on and do all this. But I popped over to your channel and just see how you're doing, like when you're streaming and everything, and I'll look and I'm like, 9 hours and 45 minutes he streamed all day.
I was halfway through.
Yeah. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, that is a long time to be streaming.
Yeah.
Turns out the most fun thing to do on streaming is watching retard documentaries. And I watched a whole documentary, not documentaries about retarded people, retarded documentaries. I mean, like silly documentaries. I watched one about pedophiles the other day, and it's the same one that, Kyle, you'll know this from Video and that he sounds like a slightly more effeminate Tiger King, and he has his yellow jacket on, and he will say things like, he's driving in his car and being filmed, low budget documentary. It's more like exposing NAMBLA, and he'll say things like, and this child I met, and I will tell you the way he flirted with me. It was so overt and yet so kind. And he suggested to me that we go on a camping trip. It was his idea, and he arranged for our sleeping bags to be zipped together. Mm-hmm. And he was, we were laying in there that night. He positioned himself next to me in a way that was so tender and so inviting. And we will say that there was no need for any lubricant or anything for that act. And it was beautiful. It was loving. And it was, like the old video in A clip just follows it's 8 minutes of that guy. It's an hour and 10-minute documentary with a whole host of characters that are doing the same shit. And they are absolute demons.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you're doing this guy whose sense of self is completely different than my impression of him, right? He's like, it was beautiful and it was the kid's idea and this was a wonderful, and I'm like, oh my God, no, it was not his idea. It was yours. You manipulate this child and fuck him, and oh my God.
See, and some of the pedophiles, like you could kind of tag them and be like, that guy just wants to fuck kids and he knows what he's doing. This orange turtleneck sweater guy was the spookiest because he genuinely thought he did not think he was manipulating the kids. He would go up to a kid, talk to him for 2 seconds outside of a store and not convince them, just a normal chat. The way that if Kyle, Woody, you guys were 12 years old and an adult comes up to you with a camera and starts talking to you, your parents, at least they taught me, hey, adults outrank you. You be polite, you be courteous, you be respectful, all of that. And that's what these kids were doing. And he would walk back to his car. And one scene, he's like, that. And Jared over there, he's 14 years old. He's cheesing. He's so excited. And you would not believe how excited he was to tell me his birthday, and just the body language. It's just a beautiful thing. He is in bloom right now. He said that he is in bloom. And it's dude, some people you're not going to rehab that. There's no way of rehabbing that out. He's an insane person who genuinely thinks all these kids are like, oh yeah, I would love to do this with you.
Are we sure that none of them are?
Because what you think evil is the people that Kyle kills in Doom, right? Yeah. What evil's actually is the people Taylor watches on stream.
Yeah. Well, we watch other fun things. I watched a lady who bathes in bleach today and a woman who eats rocks.
One thing
I know her.
I do just chatting every now and then, and not lately because Tarkov. Mm-hmm. But one thing that really impacts numbers and discovery is the thumbnail that Twitch makes out of where you are. I've had times where I watch these Leto videos with people and they really like it. And I think it's good content, and I watch this or that, maybe something funny. And then somehow we looked at Kardashians. I think we were, I don't know them that well. And I was trying to figure out which one was the hot one or something. Yeah. All of a sudden I go from 400 people to 900 people. Cause they're there's a Kardashian in a bikini and me looking at it as my thumbnail. And everyone's like, that one. Yeah. And, anyway.
Where's the bitches? Yeah.
If you want to help discovery, consider your thumbnail.
Oh, did we talked about Blade getting punched out on the Hangout, right?
Yeah, in the Hangout.
Yeah, that wasn't on the show.
Oh
man, should we save that for PKA or should we talk about it now, or not at all?
I've been talking about it on my stream. My take is out there.
Man, I got clobbered him.
We can do that with our last 7 minutes. I guess it's up.
We can cover it in 7 minutes.
Do you want to watch it? Want to co-watch it? Can we find it?
Yeah, let's watch it and then let's give our unadulterated takes on this. It's 2 minutes long anyway.
Do you have quick access to it?
I can.
Damn! After being in night mode for so long, this just snapped out of night mode. Holy shit! That is tough to look at.
Oh damn! If you look at Blade gets punched, it doesn't take long.
Nope.
Blade gets punched.
Do I have to watch somebody else's video on this? Oh wow.
Oh, the I wanted a short one.
Oh, I 2 hours 46 seconds or 2 hours 2 minutes.
The 246 doesn't have the butt slap, which I feel.
Yeah, it doesn't have the butt slap. on mine either.
And this other one is 7 minutes, but I got time if you guys want to watch it together. I'm just afraid that it's a lot of like juxtaposition and
shit.
Oh no, it's gonna be a lot of drunken nonsense. And let's do the shorter one if the butt slap's not even in the 7 minutes.
Oh, I don't know. It's not in the short one. That's all I was saying. And that's why it was. So let's see. Kyle linked maybe the long.
Oh no, not in this one either. The punch happens in the first like minute of this 7-minute video. So it looks like it's like running from. So looks like most of these are just picking up the punch.
Well, let's watch the 2-minute one. Let's watch the 2-minute one.
Yeah, the 246 that you
and I'll just watch the 246. And to the people watching, one thing you want to know is that Blade was, in my opinion, a little bit hitting on, I don't know what his name is, Captain.
We'll call him O'Neill.
Okay, I had been calling him Captain Muscles. Not meant to be insulting, but O'Neill, the guy.
No, you don't want that.
No, I don't want to insult this guy at all. This guy is strong. And his girlfriend had tight pants on, and Blade gave her a hard smack on the butt, which struck me as some sort of cross between flirty and mean. Did you guys see it like that? Like how did?
Yeah,
it seemed to me like flirtiness masquerading as being silly.
Yeah, you don't want to slap anybody's girlfriend on the ass.
No,
certainly not this fella. Like there's that old 4chan. It's like this guy comes in and slaps your girlfriend on the ass. What do? Put this guy right in the place of that giant muscled up black guy they always use. What do? Shit. You put Blade in there, and everybody's like, I punch him in the fucking mouth.
Or I just kind of stand next to him and he'll fall over on his own,
So Blade had been acting inappropriately towards O'Neill's girlfriend. And then I think it's going to happen at the top of this video.
Yeah,
Blade
right
hits O'Neill. So I'm ready to go. You guys?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, play.
Can we play some music? Ooh. Oh, shit.
My God. I love that O'Neill immediately put the camera on him.
Me too.
What the fuck are you talking about, homie?
I'm sorry, dude. I was in the wrong.
What happened?
Blade's pants are never up.
Hey, let's sit down. Let's sit down.
Dog, we play a whole different.
I've seen him lower.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was in the wrong for that. I was in the wrong for that, dude. I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry, dude. Fuck. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry, dude. I love you, dude. I'm so sorry, dude.
No one's taking more of a beating than Blade's hairline.
It's all good, dog. I'm just,
His hair is.
I'm not. I told Sean, bro. I just punched Sean last stream, bro.
I just punched Sean last stream. I didn't pick that up before.
I was in the wrong for that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for that, dude.
It's all good. I'm not tripping, bro. Just like, you know what I mean?
Goodness.
Is anybody else drunk at all? Or is he just the only one who's absolutely wasted?
That's a good question. I feel like everybody else had like a beer.
Okay, there's too much testosterone around.
I am possibly an asshole, but hear me out on this. O'Neill's code of ethics, I align with, right? In my opinion, this is what happened. Blade hit the guy's butt. Maybe he didn't immediately act, but he was hair triggered. He's like, give me a reason. Give me a fucking reason. And then Blade did. ×4. He hit him on the head. It wasn't, that's the girlfriend. It wasn't a light pat on the head. He hit him. And I don't know if everyone's wired the same way as me, but something about putting your hand on like top of a guy's head or guiding him, it's a little authoritative.
It's like a big brothering. Bullying type of thing.
If you were to punch my shoulder, then that would mean something different to me than smack the top of my head while I'm sitting, right? That's a dominance thing. And I'm going to turn this down a little bit. So,
oh, they're hugging it out at 2 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think I saw this part of it before. But Blade, big brother this guy and hit him on top of the head. He immediately decided enough. This attitude needs a correction, and I have just the recipe for this situation. OnlyUseMeLegs donated, Jesus Christ. And he turned around and punched Blade. And if you see that punch, my God, Blade's head was like barely there. He punched through his mouth to the other side. I've watched so many punches, and typically the hand slows down on impact, right?
This guy followed through.
He drove through the face.
Yeah.
Blade's head may have even hit the wall. Blade's head,
he wasn't trying to punch here. He was trying to punch the area right behind his head. And that's the success.
He
That's how you punch,
smashed it.
apparently.
And
That's how you punch a drunk guy.
Blade's not the
Slap your
first
head.
person this guy's punched in the mouth.
He mentioned
No,
he
and he won't
punched a
be the
different guy
last.
last stream.
Yeah.
So, but
He loves that hat.
you might hear that. You might hear that and think the punching was inappropriate, but not according to me. He hit the guy's girlfriend. He hit the guy in the top of the head. He needed an attitude correction, and by goodness, did it work appropriately, right?
I gotta say, I agree with you 100%. Sometimes I'm more on the
Overreaction
They were just
side, right.
kidding.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we're just joking around. You know, one person has gotten much madder than the situation. But in this, it's like I didn't like him slapping the guy's girlfriend.
That's wildly inappropriate.
That's
Especially when it
wildly
seems like they're
inappropriate.
in their home right now.
Yeah, yeah. I
I
don't
kicked
like
him the fuck out. You don't behave.
I
That way in
don't
someone
like
else's home.
sloppy drunk people either. Honestly, like if we're all drinking, it's one thing, but like that's the thing about smoking weed is like you don't get to that gross. I don't know how else to describe it. That gross, sloppy sort of thing we're seeing with him. It's gross. Like the way he's slurring his speech and like,
Especially like you hit the nail on the head. If everybody wants to have some beer and he comes in with a liter bottle of Jaeger and starts drinking that like it's Miller Lite, it's like
he's way too drunk.
You
for
know,
the
none of the
environment
rest
he's
of us want to
in.
be vomiting later. You know?
Yeah, he's the drunkest person there by tenfold, and then he assaults the guy's girlfriend. Let's call it what it is. It's by the letter of the law, he assaulted her, and then he decides to do the same thing to the guy. And
It was
not only
just
is he
put that
doing
card in the folder with the rest.
We didn't have the butt slap on camera, so quickly, if I remember, Blade's hand came from up here all the way down, hit her on the butt like as hard as you can slap a butt.
They're like
Open
passing
hands,
each other. Like she's walking in out of the kitchen, and he's walking into the kitchen, and he does a big like whirly durly and like smacks her on the ass.
There wasn't even a coy invitation from her, not even a jokey little thing. She was just walking.
No. It's not like
Just
she
saying
bent over and like
for anybody.
wiggled her ass at him and was like, no, there was none of that. She's walking
she was
past
walking
and he
to the
slaps
kitchen.
her.
Yeah.
Like if he slaps her anywhere else, everybody's like, yeah, that is assault. But he slapped her ass, so it's supposed to be better. No, if anything, it's worse. It's a sexual assault now that you've just done.
Ooh, that's twofer.
Oh, well,
Score.
hashtag me too. And then he literally assaults the guy. And I get that, like, if you're palling around with your boys, if we're all 18, if it's us and I goof around and like muss your hair up and then we wrestle around on the floor, it's one thing and nobody's gonna get their feelings hurt. I don't get the feeling these two know each other that well. This is not Blade's best friend. This is not an acquaintance. This is someone that he knows a little bit, it seems. He certainly didn't know him well enough to know that if you slap him in the back of the head, he'll knock you the fuck out. And
you shouldn't make any sort of that could be perceived as aggressive physical gestures towards someone you don't know,
especially someone that big.
Even if
someone
you do
bigger than
know.
you too.
No, maybe I go too far, but I've described this before. So in fast forward, where it's a tow day. This guy's a friend of mine. I see him once a month, for 2 days a month. And he was describing what someone else did to him, and he put me in a headlock and made me kind of bend over. And I smiled and I said, I don't like that. And he responded to that by like doing it more and harder. So I hip tossed him and put him on his back, and it was like, I'd do it again. Yeah, fuck you. If I say I don't like that, that's a clue to back off, not double down.
Yeah, it's a safe word. Have respect.
This guy, I don't know. I guess he went straight to the punch, but still, what Blade did was more than roughhousing.
I had no problem with what he did. If anything,
no, not at all.
It probably would. I mean, if he'd slapped any of our girlfriends, we'd have probably already hit him.
I hope, right? I hope that I would have gone to immediate violence. I think that's me. We don't know till we're tested.
I don't think I'm nearly as willing to jump to violence on camera on a stream as that guy, though.
Oh, we can turn the camera right off. That's got a fucking button. But
that guy was the opposite. He pointed the camera right at his victim. Look at him now.
Yeah. Perfectly so. He got exactly what he deserved, frankly. I like Blade. I really do. That was a douchey thing for him to do, and it deserved getting punched in the mouth.
And I think Blade would agree with you.
Slapping other guy's girlfriend's ass. Not appropriate.
Blade?
Yeah, that was worse than the hat slap, honestly. I'd be much more willing to take a hat slap than I would be if you slapped my girlfriend in the ass. That's crossing a lot of lines. Like not only have you hurt her, but you're somehow like cucking me or something.
Yeah, you're
like
coming
that.
at me.
Without permission, even, and that's just like what are you doing?
Don't you touch my
we're in
girlfriend
my fucking
inappropriately while my pants are on?
We're in my house. I don't even have my lubricant. You started way before I was ready, sir.
Am I crazy or would picture how condoms are packaged, right?
Yeah,
there should be a condom lube like double pack. So
they are.
Fuck, I
Like
thought it was the
lubricated
original
condoms.
idea.
Yeah, it looks like those little. You tear the side off and.
Yeah,
like
like
a
a
little-
ketchup pack with lube
Yeah.
on it. Oh, I thought I had an original idea. No, I guess
I
Don't
only
wear
know
condoms,
because
kids.
I only know because a relative of mine robbed a relative of mine when I was like 5. They got in big trouble, not with the law, but with my dad. They robbed a some sort of like condom machine.
Store? Oh, that's so funny.
Like I guess there was a condom machine or something in a bathroom, and they like pried it open, and like we find this big pile of condoms and like lube and stuff, and it's like, what the fuck have you done? And it had like those little packets of lube that came.
When your story started, I only know because a relative of mine, I'm like, are we about to get a big admission here that we haven't heard before? My uncle was a bit of a pedo.
No,
My father was a drinker.
Call it a show?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can smell my dinner ready to fucking eat.
It's
I'm hungry.
PKN 294.